Hello. Venus Fridays. It's that time again. Happens so quickly. And so let's talk about how to tune into the divine feminine energy this week, right? And so part of that really, I'll talk about different aspects of the astrology going on this week, not just Venus, right? So Venus represents our divine feminine energy. That's the planet that does that, just like Mars represents our divine masculine energy, which there's a lot going on with Mars last week and this week. So part of that tuning into and bringing more balance to the feminine is also being aware of our masculine sides and how we're feeding that, not feeding that, giving that too much attention, not enough attention, how do we bring those two into greater harmony and balance? And that's really what turns me on about astrology in general, is empowering women and empowering our divine feminine expression and helping to bring that into greater empowerment and balance as we're shifting out of this patriarchal mindset. So slowly, but it's happening, right? So along those lines, I teach about the Venus cycle with Venus alchemy because that's, I think, a really potent way to tune into the divine feminine and the energy available to us and how to focus it, because the divine feminine, right, that's this huge amorphous kind of energy, and how do we connect into different pieces, parts of it, and work with it over the month, over the weeks, over the year, so that we keep empowering that and empowering ourselves to live our authentic lives and be our authentic selves that we came here to be, right? So I have Venus Alchemy, Kaylin and I have a free class that we just taught that you can check out for free, and I'll put the link below. And yeah, check it out. It's all about the Venus cycle, like how it works, what it means for you. It's kind of a lot of basics and an introduction, as well as talking about this whole evening star time that's starting right now, right? Where Venus is rising into the evening sky after the sun sets. So some of you may have seen Venus. I have not been so blessed yet, but I know she's coming. So it's time to start looking after the sunset and seeing when you can see Venus and start tuning into that evening star time of the phases of Venus, right? Where it adds this earthy groundedness, right? That we've come out of the underworld where Venus has been with the sun and is now in the evening sky, and it adds the element of earth. So if you were born when Venus was in the evening star phase of her cycle, you add earth to your Venus signature, right? Your Venus sign. If it's Virgo, Capricorn, Aquarius, Aries, you add earth in a little bit more of a groundedness, and that's where we are in the cycle. So as we go through all the coming gates and information about Venus, I'll talk more about, we just keep adding this wisdom keeping component to it. Okay, so check that out if you want. It's a free class. You can look at it whenever you want. All right, so tomorrow, Saturday, Mars moves into Gemini, right? Meets with the Pleiades in the Bull constellation. So the seven sisters, that's where Gemini starts in for our lifetimes. And Mars will be crossing and aligning with that energy. So with that feminine energy, as the masculine, divine masculine planet moves into Gemini, which is a very genderless, fluid kind of sign and energy that is really pushing the boundaries, getting us out of the boxes, pushing up against all the things we know and think, right? So I love this combination of this feminine, the Pleiades energy, with our divine masculine planet, Mars, in the Bull constellation, right? So there's a feminine awareness of the masculine shifting into Gemini and helping us, again, right, move towards that breaking out of those patriarchal boxes in fun ways, right? Gemini likes to have is playful, youthful. It wants to have fun while it's shifting our perspectives, right? So it's not meant to be this like serious drudgery, like lighten up and kind of get out of the box of like the restriction of the patriarchy and lean into more of the balance of the feminine, right? Bringing that teeter-totter back into more harmony. Then on Sunday, we have the second Capricorn full moon in a row, right? So the first one was at the June solstice in the early stages of Capricorn because the sun just moved into Cancer, so the full moon opposite in Capricorn. And then we have now the second Capricorn full moon at the very end of Capricorn and the sun at the very end of Cancer. And the moon is conjunct Pluto. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show this first in astrology software by Astro Gold here. And we can see that I've just got the sun is the bullseye image here at 29 degrees Cancer. And this is all set for where I live in Aspen, Colorado. So at the time of the full moon, the sun may be up high for you, or maybe like in the middle of the night. But it's this configuration. It'll just be in a different house based on your location. And here is the moon opposite at 29 degrees Capricorn at the very end. And here is Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius, right? Pluto is retrograde, so it's moving towards the moon and the moon is moving towards it. So they come into their exact conjunction just, a couple hours after the exact full moon. Okay, so switching from this, we're going to look at stellarium.org software and see this in the sky, but I just wanted to show it there on the astrology software. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so here's the moon and Pluto is what is in the red little pointy lines right there. And here's the sun opposite, right? So this is the chart that we just looked at actually in the sky. So I'm just going to turn the horizon line on so we can see that, right? The moon is getting close to setting at that full moon exact point. And I'll turn the ground back off so we can see the sun just opposite of the moon right there. And here you can see, I'm just going to zoom in and show this here, right? Here's the Pleiades. There's Mars in that alignment. So that's where Mars is now moved into Gemini. Okay, so this second Capricorn full moon is with Pluto, right? So again, there's this, Pluto is always about that transformational kind of energy. The moon carries most cultures see the moon as a feminine energy, not always, but obviously the moon has a huge impact like on our tides, the watery sides of our earth, as well as our cycles as women, right? So the moon carries that feminine energy and it's meeting with Pluto at this Capricorn full moon right before the moon moves into Aquarius. So it's an energy of that, the wisdom that Capricorn can carry and transforming that, right? It's that like, it's a great day and a great moon just to lean into trusting the wisdom that you carry, right? And clearing out Pluto, transforming something that stands in the way of you trusting your own judgment, trusting your inner guidance, right? Like we're always looking for answers outside of ourselves, but really we have all the answers within ourselves. Like we are really our own best guru, taking a term from India, right? Guru, our own best guide, our own best teacher. No one knows better than we do. People can like add in, spark ideas, teach us new things, but really it has to be what resonates with our own inner guidance and trust. And that's what I think this second Capricorn full moon gives us an opportunity, because it's meeting with Pluto, of one small thing that we can lean into trusting our inner guidance more, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, the intention is now I completely and wholeheartedly trust my inner guidance always 100% of the time, right? Like that's just unrealistic. But maybe there's something on this day that we can trust, or maybe we can have the intention of, I'm just going to tune into my heart and see how I feel. Maybe I can't make the choice yet. Maybe I can make the choice yet, but I'm just going to take the time to like connect. And that would be my intention, right? Something that's more manageable, right? Okay, so then on Monday, I'm going to zoom out and we're going to look at this just a little bit more. On Monday, the sun moves in to Leo right here in the little fanny of the crab constellation, right? There's the crab constellation moving towards the lion constellation, but Leo, through a seasonal focused astrology, which is what Western astrology is, the sun enters Leo right here in this crab constellation. And we are moving into this fixed sign, this serving self sign with the sun, our light, that is the middle of the season, right? That's what the fixed signs are. That's what Leo represents here. The middle of summer in the Northern Hemisphere and the middle of winter in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're moving towards that cross-quarter time of when the season is fixed. We are full on halfway between the solstice and the equinox coming, right? So that's what is characterized by the sun moving into Leo. And then when it reaches 15 degrees Leo, it's exactly at that cross quarter point. So Leo is that sign of our own divinity, our own divine nature. So the sun's energy moving into Leo is very empowering for the feminine, because it's like, okay, it's safe for me to like shine my light out into the world. That's my desired place to go. That's what Leo is always teaching us. So with the sun moving there, the feminine, we can focus on like, okay, it's okay to let my heart open, to let that shine out a little bit to wherever I feel comfortable with that, and to trust in my own divine nature. So coming off of that full moon with Pluto, that transformation around like trusting my inner spirit connection, the sun moving into Leo the next day is more of that energy, right? It's that serving self, serving soul sign from the shamanic astrology mystery school or alchemical astrology, where we've added that serving soul component to the fixed signs. It's the bridge between like our physical personality body and our spirit, right, body. So also the moon is opposite Venus on the same day, which we'll just show again in that software by stellarium.org. And here is Venus, and then the moon is opposite that in the sky. So it's almost like could be like a Venus full moon kind of an energy, right? Of the moon and Venus are coming into a dynamic relationship together. So there's an activation around that feminine energy. Okay, and then I'm going to move this back over. We're going to get rid of Pluto. And I want to show on Wednesday, we have the moon meeting up with Saturn in the sky, right? So there is this conjunction between the moon and Saturn. And I'm going to stop the share and we'll talk about that. So on the heels of this full moon in Capricorn, the moon now meeting with Saturn and Capricorn have this resonant energy. It lights up that Saturn structure, right? That contraction, which is not a negative thing. Like none of the planets are negative, right? Saturn is not negative. Saturn is much more objective, and it just brings the walls in so we get really clear on where we want to be putting our energy and where we don't want to be doing it. And that's the gift of Saturn. So the moon aligning with Saturn on Wednesday can bring an energy of, again, sort of like the theme of this week is like trusting in our grandmotherly wisdom, right? I like to associate Saturn with like the grandmother energy. That's something I learned from Kaylin Castell at Venus Alchemy, who I teach Venus Alchemy, the Venus cycle with, the ceremonial journey. And so that's the grandmother wisdom keeper energy that we all like have inside, right? Our own inner sage. So that's a lot of the theme this week is just trusting, tuning into that, taking another step towards being in greater alignment in the multitude of different ways. I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. And then finally on Thursday, the moon will meet with Neptune. So the moon is activating some big planets this week, right, together. And so we have Saturn and Neptune are moving closer together for their conjunction coming. So the moon activates Neptune, which is that watery, again, kind of that feminine energy of dreams and visioning and getting more clarity. So the moon meeting with Saturn the day before can like help us kind of get clear on what we're doing with our energy. And then on Thursday, when the moon meets with Neptune, it can let it be that expansive of like, okay, now where do I really want to be putting my energy? What are my dreams and visions? I've gotten clear, and now this provides me more clarity, right? Also, Mercury moves into Virgo on Thursday. So our mind, mental world gets a grounding earth element of Virgo. Virgo is a cerebral type of earth, but like from the body, paying attention to the patterns, seeing the energy, that druid priestess type of energy is where our mind is moving. So again, more connecting into like spirit in a grounded earth-based way to help us navigate the transformation, the shifts that we're going through as we empower the feminine more. And so the last thing, because I've been asked to keep doing the aromatherapy, I'm going to talk about Ponderosa Pine for this Mars masculine energy, as well as the grounding Capricorn Saturn grandmother energy. Ponderosa Pine really leans into both of those. So it smells like a pine forest, right? Just so like sweet and yummy. And the smell of it is like immediately grounding. Ponderosa pine is like one of the biggest pines that grows in Colorado. Smells so divine. I wish we could share this over Zoom and YouTube together. But it is has these really long needles, which like spruces and firs don't have that. Pines have longer needles. And it stands as like the sentinel, the wisdom keeper, the wisdom holder, the grandmother wisdom energy, as well as the more masculine energy because of the longer needles of the conifer forest. So it takes us in all the directions that this week is really offering us. And most importantly, it's just so incredibly like grounding your roots down into the earth while simultaneously letting the sky, the moon, the sun energy, the star energy come into our beings. All right, thanks for being with me here this week. I'll see you next week when we'll talk about Chiron is going retrograde.